really hope you enjoy the show that we've prepared. I thought I'd spend the first few minutes, though, of this episode, since it's our first episode, to introduce my co-hosts and then let them tell you a little bit about themselves. So we'll start with Super Friendly.
I'm Super Friendly. You might call me a man of the people, and that means, like most people who are men, I like to spend my evenings after work chilling out, watching TV, maybe until bed. And you know what? That's okay. I also like to comment snipe. I like to seek out opportunities to make quippy comments to poke fun. That does not always work out for me, but sometimes it does. But this is a show about dorky things for dorky people, right? So you'll hear a lot about Star Wars, but everybody likes Star Wars, so we can't just talk about Star Wars. So look for me to squeeze in things about the Ender series, Dark Matter, and Doctor Who.
Is that all you have?
Yes.
I'm pretty geeky, and I only probably understood about 25% of what you just said.
Fair enough.
Well, that's Super Friendly. Next, we have Dark Eagle. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, I'm Dark Eagle. My real name is Luke. My passions currently, as they change fairly regularly because that's my personality type, I'm big into board gaming, and not your standard junk loser board games that people play like Monopoly, a bunch of morons, but real hobby games like Pandemic, Cosmic Encounter, Caverna. Those are a few that I've been enjoying lately. Big into
Those are just words.
Those are just words? Is that what you said?
Those are just words.
Yeah. I didn't interrupt you, so shut your mouth. Moving on.
You kind of did.
Moving on. I also very much enjoy science fiction in general, shows, movies. My wife and I have almost actually finished rewatching all of Doctor Who. I'm really big into the MCU, particularly the MCU movies. Not so much their television shows, not always a big fan of those. I do watch a lot of anime, especially more recently. So I love to find a good anime to watch. Sometimes I play on the PS4 and iOS. Big on PS4 right now, as you'll hear later on, because of a game I've been playing that Wild Josh introduced me to. But really what it comes down to is the things that I know a lot about are Marvel, Doctor Who, and board games. I like DC a little bit more than some guys on this show, but still not a huge fan of DC. I do love Star Wars, as Kyle mentioned, everybody does. I'm married to a beautiful lady that I'd like to think I turned to the geek side. That didn't come out the way I was expecting. Her name is Kelsey, and we've been married for 6 years, and that's about all.
Very nice, very nice. And finally, I'm your host, Wild Josh. As you probably could guess, my real name is Josh. I'm a big science fiction fan. I love Star Wars and Star Trek. I'm also anime and Marvel fan. I am not a DC guy, and I'm just putting that out there. That's Luke's thing. I'm a gamer.
No.
I play mostly PC, PS4, and iOS games. I love vintage arcade and console games. I also write some fiction stories in my spare time, mostly science fiction and fantasy, but occasionally I venture into other genres as well. I've been married to my wonderful geeky wife, Rebecca, for 13 years, and that's about all there is to know about me. You'll learn a little bit more about me, about Super Friendly, and about Dark Eagle as we go through this show in the coming weeks, months, years possibly. So this show is really born from a Google Hangouts that all three of us started a few years ago, and it was a nice way to keep in touch, seeing that Luke moved to the other side of the planet.
3 hours away from you.
Well, it feels like forever away. And that Google Hangouts, which oftentimes got quite crazy, gave us the idea that maybe others would want to hear about our ideas, our theories, our diatribes that we've been just selfishly hoarding amongst ourselves. So now we're
diatribes means.
Sharing that.
I'm just happy if my mom listens.
So now we're going to share that with our world
Dad.
and our friends. Oh, boy. I'll try to keep the show on the rails as best as possible. So what we have for this week anyways, for this podcast that we're having this week, Super Friendly goes gaga over Spider-Man Homecoming. Dark Eagle finally shows up to the party, and man, does he bring it. And that's kind of an inside joke. And I'll do my best not to lose it after another childhood memory is bent by the dark and twisted mind of Tim Burton. I'm your host, Wild Josh, and this is Geek-Cetera. Now, as always, potential spoilers lie ahead. Please proceed with caution. So we'll get right into what we've done in the past week as far as nerdy and geeky stuff goes, and we'll start with Super Friendly. What have you been up to?
I did see Spider-Man Homecoming this past weekend. It's pretty awesome. my favorite Spider-Man movie that has been released. I know that's not a popular.
Save it for later.
I will save it for later, but it is my favorite. I've been messing around with my alt account on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I was on a camping trip with some guys. One guy in particular who he started a guild for his kids, didn't want to get too crazy with other people, so I joined him with my alt account. I also started rewatching Dark Matter, which is a sci-fi series from Canada, one of the Canada broadcasting companies, and the third season is coming up pretty soon. I'm excited about that.
I have to ask about that just for a second. I started watching that, but I stopped. Does it get really good?
Well, did you stop in the first episode?
No, I stopped in like episode 6.
Oh. Then no?
Okay. We'll move on. I was just curious.
No.
No, for me it got good after like the third episode.
It's been a while, so I don't even remember, but I just remember I watched some of it. Maybe I didn't make it to 6.
It definitely ramped up towards the end of the season. The second season was a little flatter than the first, but I really liked the first. Looking forward to the third.
I don't know much about that at all. Dark Matter.
It's Canada.
Canada.
Gotta love Canada.
That explains, yeah. Very good. So, what about you, Dark Eagle?
I also saw Homecoming. Actually, I saw it for the second time with my cousin who hadn't seen it. My opinion is a little different than Kyle's, but I won't go into it like he did since we're not talking about that just yet.
Look,
But
we'll
anyway,
get into it later.
Yeah, I know we'll get into it later. Thank you.
Okay.
The thing that I've spent my most time doing really is playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I played that a ton. I have to have probably 25 or so hours sunk into it at least. When I look at the game completion, I'm at about 50%, I think, which is kind of sad because I feel like I've done a lot already, and I don't want it to end, even though I know I have a lot more to go, but I'm also pretty psyched as I've gone through the story. It's been an excellent game that Wild Josh got me hooked on and forced me to buy a PS4 because of that. The other thing that I've been doing is I've really been enjoying, it's an anime set in the Meiji era of Japan. It's all about samurais and stuff like that. It's called Rurouni Kenshin. I'm about to finish up the second season, which has been really good and kind of interesting because it's loosely based on a true story of how the Meiji government they tried to overthrow the Meiji government. It's obviously not true overall because the characters are crazy and insane in the things they can do, but I found it very interesting and really enjoyed it.
Are you watching that on Kiss Anime or Hulu or Netflix? How are you getting that?
It's on Netflix, all 3
okay.
seasons. Yep.
Right. I wonder if it's on Hulu because I recently just canceled
right,
my
just got rid of
Netflix and got Hulu instead. But
I bet it is. Hulu has about the same amount of shows as Netflix does.
Yeah. All
for
right, I'll have
anime.
to check that out. Is that an older one?
Yeah, it's from the
An older
90s.
series? Yeah, I thought so.
It's pretty clean too, which is nice for samurais. They can get super gory sometimes, but this one's been pretty clean.
Nice. I'll have to check that out at some point. So for me, the past week, I saw Spider-Man Homecoming as well. I liked it. Not as much as Super Friendly, but we'll get into that later. I watched this week's Star Wars show on YouTube. It actually came out today. And there was some interesting stuff on there. They showed Kylo Ren's new ship that he's going to be flying in Last Jedi, which
cool.
Looks very much like a TIE Interceptor, a little bit bigger and beefier looking, but a very neat looking ship. They also talked about how Ewoks are coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which anyone who's been playing Galaxy of Heroes right now knows that because they've been really hyping it for the last couple weeks. But they actually released a trailer for Galaxy of Heroes that just had Ewoks in it, and it was pretty cool trailer. And then they also released within the last week a behind the scenes of Star Wars The Last Jedi on YouTube. I would recommend checking that out if you haven't checked it out yet, because you see some really cool stuff, some really neat species that I've never seen before in the Star Wars universe. They even show a scene where it looks like they're in a casino, but instead of it being a slimy, scummy cantina hole or Jabba's palace, it's like a real opulent, nice-looking place with like all these high rollers hanging around, and they're all different species. So really cool video. Check that out. I played some Horizon Zero Dawn a fair amount. When Dark Eagle came to visit a couple weeks ago, I let him play, and I didn't realize it was going to delete my save. So now I'm starting from fresh. But it's kind of nice starting from fresh because I know everything that's going to happen. So I'm not listening to any of the story. I listened to the story the first time through. I can kind of fly through it. And I'm finding the game much easier the second time through. All the learning curves, they're already, I don't have to relearn anything. It's just, it's been nice. So I'm probably only like 10% through, but I'm enjoying it the second time as well, which is great because it's showing it's got pretty good replay value.
Yeah.
I can play it through 100%. And I mean 100%. I did everything that there was to do and then play it through again. And they recently came out with a patch for that too, that once you beat it, you can play through again on a harder level and keep all your gear and stats and everything and levels. So that's cool. And then I played some Galaxy of Heroes on my iPad, and that's about all I've been doing in the last week. But I'm looking forward to what's going to come this weekend with San Diego Comic-Con. There's always good, juicy news that comes from that event. That's about it for what we did in the last week. We're going to move on to our Nerdverse theories, where we get to talk about different theories that we found on the web this week. We'll start with you, Super Friendly. I hear you got a good theory on Ray.
Not everybody likes my theory.
I don't already.
People at work and fish-faced people that are on the internet. My theory has to do with Star Wars Episode 7. We're going to talk a lot about Star Wars, I'm sorry. I believe that Rey is a Kenobi clone. Some people have come up with the theory that she is a Kenobi. I do not believe she is a Kenobi. She is not a Kenobi. I just started coming up with this last time I watched Star Wars Episode 7. So first thing is Jedi mind tricks. I think that out of all the Star Wars movies, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the one who has used Jedi mind tricks the most effectively. Not that there were a lot of examples of those, but we saw more Jedi not being effective with them than be effective. And Obi-Wan was effective. Rey was effective, so I see that as a similarity.
Like it's his daughter.
No.
But that would easily explain that similarity. But continue with this.
You're right.
Okay.
It would so easily explain. Yeah, you're welcome. You're so smart. Anyways, also I saw a lot of similarity in the circumstances between the duels that Obi-Wan had with Darth Maul in Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace, also with Rey's duel with Kylo Ren in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. First one, just being the circumstances surrounding, Qui-Gon, he dies, he's killed by Maul, and Obi-Wan had to watch that. Then he had to go on to face Maul. Similar with Rey, she had to see Finn go down, he got hit in the back. Is he dead? She doesn't know, but then she's got to go and fight Kylo Ren. So I kind of saw that as similarities in a narrative. And I see your shifting eyes. I don't know what to make of that, but if you have something to say.
I'm just waiting for you to say the next one, because I'm going to shred it so bad.
Oh, the next one. Sure. The tunic she wears?
No, you skipped one.
You skipped one.
Yeah, I did that on
purpose. I'm sure you did. Why don't you say it? Why don't you tell people what you're thinking?
Well, spoilers. For anyone that hasn't seen Star Wars Episode 7, Rey has, and I will wait 5 seconds, just in case you want to turn this off. Okay.
If they hung in with us this long, they're gonna stay.
If you're still here, you want the spoilers. So Rey has a British accent in the movie, and we know Obi-Wan had a British accent in the movie. I looked into this a little bit. I did find something on the internet that said it was those in the Star Wars universe who have come from an affluent background that represent just a higher way of living that had a British accent in the Star Wars universe, which could mean that Rey was dumped from a family that lived in a system towards the Inner Rim. But I just saw that similarity. It's just another point that would link Obi-Wan to Rey. Luke, did you have something you want to say there?
Yeah, like a daughter almost, right? Like it'd be his daughter, same dialect, same force powers, kind of like a daughter. That's what I have to say about that.
I thought you were going to shred me.
Well, it turns out you actually had a valid point that I had never thought about, which is rare for you. But I'm going to let this one go.
Okay. The next one, and I had already said this, the tunic she wears, it's kind of flimsy, but I thought the tunic that she wears is very similar to the one that Obi-Wan wore.
That's stupid.
It's stupid.
Yeah, because that bears no similarity whatsoever about anything. That doesn't tell us that they're linked at all.
No, but it's just one link in the chain.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Sure.
And then my last point is that Obi-Wan was a visitor to the cloning facility in Kamino. We saw that in Star Wars Episode 2. We know he could go back there if he wanted to, or he had some ties to the people on Kamino and could have had a clone made of him.
Why? Why would he have a clone made of him that's a female? Do you think he didn't want to be a man?
I don't know what goes on in his mind. That was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So I really don't know. But what I can say, what were we talking about? Right,
Why would he have made a clone?
So Josh and I were kind of talking about this the other day, is that, the Jedi can't really have attachment, have affections. So the only way that a Jedi would have intercourse is for fun, because that is apparently a reason that they could.
Okay.
Yep.
We apologize for this interruption, but someone had brain flatulence.
So we're back now, and we're going to let Kyle finish off with his theory about Rey.
My bad. So what I was saying was that Jedi cannot have attachment, but they can lay together for fun, which I don't think either one of those would bring a baby. So what I was thinking was that Obi-Wan said, when he was about to die by Vader's hand, I'm going to become more powerful than you can ever imagine. So he got slashed down, became a Force ghost. As a Force ghost, we don't see this on screen, but it will be part of the Obi-Wan standalone film, which will happen. That Obi-Wan as a Force ghost goes to Kamino, tells them, hey, here's where my robe is on Darth Vader's ship that got blown up. That doesn't work. Hey, on Tatooine, here's the exactly. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tissue samples on Tatooine. So why don't you go pick that up, make a clone of myself? While I'm a Force ghost, I'm going to go learn some stuff and come back really powerful. You make a clone. She'll be a girl because girls are better, right? Equality.
Equal rights. Big thing
I like
today.
them better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Than men.
Yeah. So make a girl. She's going to be awesome.
I'd just like to ask a question here. So you're theorizing that they found some maybe skin cells on Tatooine, just dug them up in the sand and happened to find maybe a hair.
Some old man hairs, yeah.
Old man hairs, right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
I like that even better. But it's not like he made his bed in the sand and he slept outside. No, he had a hut. He had a place where he lived. He left it. He didn't burn it. There's stuff there. He didn't only have one tunic. He didn't only have one foot.
I don't think that it would have still been there. I mean, he'd been gone. He's dead.
Okay, he was dead, but it wasn't too far removed from the part where he left Tatooine. So there's still going to be stuff there. It's not years later. We're talking days, months, weeks. How long does it take to fly from Kamino to Tatooine? I have no idea, but they have starships.
That's true. How do you know those little clone people are still alive?
I think Vader force choked them all.
Yeah, I think they're dead. You really think they would?
Why would they be dead?
Leave loose ends after the Clone Wars?
Why would who leave loose ends?
The Emperor.
Why wouldn't the Emperor want a cloning facility? There are so many... No, because there are so many theories that the Emperor made clones of himself.
That is true. Those theories
all right,
do exist.
Fine, whatever. That's true. I'm done speaking to you about this.
All right. Is that all you have, Super Friendly?
It is.
So we're going to move on to Dark Eagle, who's going to actually switch from Star Wars to something a little different. So what do you got?
Yes, sir. I was hoping to talk a little bit about the next villain for the Spider-Man movie. I think the next Spider-Man movie, they released a vague date of sometime in 2019, 2020. But what they did say is that it'll be a villain we've never seen before on the screen. So kind of interesting. We've had a lot of Spider-Man movies. We've gone through some of his major foes already. Doc Ock, the Lizard, Green Goblin, the Sandman. We've seen a lot of them now. We just saw Vulture and Shocker. We had Electro even. A lot of them are off the table. And if you consider that horrible stint of Paul Giamatti being a Transformer that they called the Rhino, we would lose the Rhino as well. So not a lot of his famous rogues left to choose from. So I was kind of thinking of a few that maybe could be in the next movie. The first one I was thinking of was Kraven. I'm a big fan of Kraven myself. He's a very grounded villain that they could easily portray in the movie, kind of like a Vulture. One of the highlights of Homecoming for me was the Vulture was kind of a relatable character, who he was. And Kraven kind of isn't necessarily an evil person. He kind of is a deep character that I think they could really explore well in the movie. So it'd be neat to see him. Another one I was thinking of that's possible is Mysterio. He was another one that was kind of famous in the comics. He really was all about illusions and tricks and things. Didn't have any necessarily superpowers. So he would again be kind of grounded in the MCU. Would be an interesting one to watch. This next one's probably not likely, but I wouldn't mind if they did it just to introduce maybe eventually down the line doing something with symbiotes, maybe bringing Venom back, who was already in a movie, so they won't have him in this next one. But they could do Carnage, who is a much more vicious person than Venom. And due to the, not necessarily, this last movie wasn't that dark. It was kind of a lighter MCU movie, so they probably won't do Carnage, who really is all about killing. He's a crazy, insane person. He was a serial killer before he got the symbiote. After he got the symbiote, he was even worse of a killer and made all kind of axes and weapons that he used to kill people. So probably he won't be in it, but it would be a nice introduction to the symbiotes, and maybe eventually we could lead into getting Venom. The last one here is probably the most likely because he was introduced briefly in the film. Mac Gargan, the Scorpion. He was in there. We know that he got severely injured in an outing between Vulture and Spider-Man. But he was in the movie. He clearly has it out for Spider-Man. He's got the Scorpion tattoo. He's a bad man. It could easily transition into seeing him in the next film. Who knows? Maybe he won't. It could really be any of these four. My particular one that I'm hoping that it is Kraven, because I think they have a lot of great stories with Kraven. The Last Hunt is a phenomenal story. They could adapt something from that. He's just a very, very cool character, and I think there would be some really cool fight scenes and a really good story that would come if they chose to use Kraven. The most likely is probably Scorpion, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'm curious, Super Friendly Wild Josh, do you have any that you would like to see or that you think we might see on screen in the next movie?
I have a couple that I'd like to add to your list. Maybe Black Cat.
Yep.
Black Cat hasn't been on the hasn't been in a movie yet. I do like Scorpion. I think that's a possibility, like you said, with the tie-in at the end. Kraven would be interesting. I don't know how they do it. He does wear very nice tights. He's probably got some of the best tights in the business.
He does have good tights. Yeah, he probably would be tightless.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do it. The other one I was thinking of is, what's his name? Chameleon.
Oh,
Chameleon.
That's a great one. I didn't even think about Chameleon. He's
We'll
another
see.
one that would be hard to, like some of the, even you mentioned Black Cat, Chameleon, they would be hard to have as the main villain. I could see him being secondary characters. They were never huge issues for Spider-Man on their own, but
Tombstone.
I do like Tombstone. He was pretty cool. And so is Smythe that you put up there.
What about Wilson Fisk, Kingpin? I mean, we don't see him in the MC.
Yeah,
Has he
but
been in
he's
anything? He's been
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Oh, I forgot that existed.
That version of his character wouldn't fit very well into Spider-Man's universe because he's not like the Kingpin from the comics. What about you, Super Friendly?
What about Hammerhead?
He's lame.
I like
super lame.
No, but I was just thinking, with that trend towards like vampires and gory stuff.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe Michael Morbius.
Yep.
Might fit in just because it's popular. Maybe it's past its popularity, but I really have no idea. So he could fit, and I thought he was a big villain.
Yeah, he was pretty big, and he was part of like the Man Spider series, which is a fairly famous story arc. The problem, one of the things I'm disappointed in, is they've already butchered most of the great story arcs, like Gwen Stacy's death, the Venom saga. They've already butchered all those. So not like there isn't other good stories, but they've taken a lot of the classic ones already and kind of ruined them. So Marvel probably won't use those again for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
We're going to get
we'll
into
see.
that a little later.
Yeah, that's true.
How they ruined Spider-Man. No.
The thing about Scorpion too is I don't mind if they do it, but what I loved about Spider-Man Homecoming was that the villains, I mean the Vulture, they changed him to be grounded in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the way Shocker's costume was done, they grounded him more in reality. I don't want to see Scorpion with his little tail waving around and junk like that, or even Kraven, who would be awesome. I don't want to see him running around New York City in a loincloth, you know? Like, if it's done well...
I agree. I think what you could even see from Scorpion is him being like the Shocker maybe in the next movie. Maybe not being the full-on villain, but maybe being kind of a side character to the main villain. And I think you're probably pretty safe with Marvel. I mean, they've done pretty well with costume design that they would make Kraven look good, but still stick to his kind of original, you know, who he is as a hunter and skilled hunter as he is.
Yeah, I think you look at with Guardians of the Galaxies, if there's some pretty cheesy outfits and stuff in the Marvel universe, those guys were wearing them, and they made them look pretty cool in the movie. So I imagine they'll do something that will look decent no matter what they do.
All their costume design has been great, except what I'm going to talk about in movie trailers, because I hate the Inhuman costumes. But that's coming up.
Later. All right. So I would go with Scorpion. I think that's a good bet, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's logical, but I'm hoping for Craven.
Oh, and it would be really stupid, sorry. It would be really stupid if they tease that they're going to have this new big bad that we've never seen before, and it does end up being Scorpion, because they tease that at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, and if that's the big reveal, it's kind of a letdown. So do Scorpion, do something else.
Maybe
I go with it.
Scorpion would be a secondary villain, and there'll be another main villain that will be in it, like Craven or something.
Or Hammerhead.
Hammerhead was a thug.
He was a loser and will never be a main villain. Dumbest character ever. Just runs at people with his head.
Just like Crossbones.
All right, we're going to bring it back to Star Wars. My theory this week is actually 5 different theories kind of rolled into one. It is what killed Padme, and 5 different possibilities that I've come up with, that I've searched the web for, and we'll run down that list. I think number 5 is what it is, but we'll see what everyone else thinks. Number 1 was Force choke. Anakin turning into Vader, she's the first person that he force chokes. So is it possible that, being untrained in the dark side at this point, that he goes a little overboard and accidentally does more damage to her than he was meaning to?
I say false.
Why? I mean,
Because I believe some of these other theories more.
okay,
But we're not talking about those other theories.
that's true.
We're talking about this one. Why doesn't this one work?
Because number 5 is the correct one. That's the simple reason. I mean, the answer is number 5, which we're going to get to. So this one can't be true because 5 is.
Play devil's advocate. You do not know 5 exists. Do you think that is possible?
Yes. That I believe is possible. However, I think that she would have been dead already and wouldn't have survived to have children unless they just wanted to use it as a convenient way, to let her still have children and pretend like the Force choke somehow slowly still continued to choke her until she died.
Ooh, I like that.
That's not meant to be accurate. Oh my goodness.
No. Luke makes a good point. I don't think it was the Force choke.
Yeah. I think that they very, very clearly show her neck in scenes afterwards, and there's no bruising, there's no signs that there was any really trauma to her neck. So I'm thinking that wasn't it either. Number 2 was after he releases her from the chokehold, she falls to the ground, and if you watch, her head bounces off the ground. So is it possible that she had some type of brain injury, head injury that was not diagnosed, because while she's in there with the doctors, they're checking other things because she's giving birth, and not the fact that she could possibly have a head injury?
Sure, it's possible.
Yeah, but you know what? I think she was already suffering from brain damage to begin with. You look at the whole relationship that they bring out between her and Anakin from episode 1 all the way to episode 3. Clearly, there's something wrong with this girl.
She likes the bad boy.
Bad boys are just the idiots.
He was just an idiot.
Yes. Well, I don't know what it was.
I love Clone Wars Anakin way better than anything they had in the prequels.
Oh, he was awesome, yeah.
So, well, it's a possibility that it's a mix of the two, the 1 and 2. The Force choke and the brain damage could do you in.
And number 3.
And number 3, heartbreak, a broken heart. Personally, I didn't think you could die of a broken heart, but as it was brought out in many of the things I found online, you only had to look as far as Carrie Fisher and her mother, Debbie Reynolds, to see that you can die of a broken heart. Carrie Fisher died, and then the next day, her mother died of a stroke. And people closest to him said that it was heartbreak. It was the stress of losing her daughter that actually killed Debbie Reynolds. So could it have been the stress of Anakin's turn to the dark side that did her in?
She was too young for stress to have killed her.
I'm going to say yes. This is probably the most likely scenario, and I'll tell you why.
My goodness.
Now, hang on, Luke.
I'm waiting.
Hang on.
Okay, go.
All right. First of all, and this is a minor point, but you see all the things she goes through in episode 3 with what Anakin does, killing the younglings, and just his eyes turn yellow. That's weird.
True.
That is weird.
But the main part, and the reason this is true, is because George Lucas wrote these movies. So, sad but true, that's probably the reason she died, and that's probably the reason he wanted her to die, so that's got to be it. But I do believe there could have been better reasons that were written in. But unfortunately, that's it.
Yeah. I think I see what you're saying.
But you're still wrong.
I just feel that this lady, I mean, she's giving birth to kids, and she'd have more to live for than just giving up on life and dying. It's heartbreak. When she's got babies, and isn't that something to live for?
Right.
Yes.
But you compound it with the force choke, you compound it with the brain damage, and just the vigorous effort her body went through to have these babies. What if, with all that effort she's using to have the children at that time, something else happens in her brain?
Wow.
She pops a blood vessel.
You just get so close to saying words again. That's just crazy.
So, number 4, this one I actually did not have initially in my script. I put it in later because someone at work actually brought it out, and I thought it was a good point, was a Vader force drain. So, could Anakin / Vader, as he's transforming into Vader, accidentally force drain Padme by thinking about her too intently while he was dying? It seems like there's even a possibility that Anakin stopped breathing in that scene when they're creating Darth Vader, and it keeps going back between him and her giving birth. Could he be grasping onto her at that point, reaching out with his feelings, and accidentally killing her by force draining her to save himself?
Well, sure, he could have. I could see that, not being able to control his powers. Again, I don't think that's likely, but I could see it being the case.
I don't think so. I'm not buying into that. This whole thing about making Vader, it's just a suit. He was already Vader. He got crowned Vader earlier in the movie. This is just about putting him in this thing and saving his body. I don't know if he was wasting away in his mind.
Do you think he was going to die, though, without something stopping that?
Yes, I do, and that's why I think the last one is correct.
Yeah, but I don't think he knew he was dying. I think the last one was more likely.
All right, we'll get to the last one. Number 5, the Emperor force drains Padme. The Emperor using her life force to bring Vader into existence. So I thought this was a really interesting point. One of my favorite theories I found online is that all that you're really missing in that sequence is a picture or a moment where it shows the Emperor just concentrating, and there's no doubt in our mind what he's doing. He is taking Padme's life force and he is putting it into Vader to make him what he becomes. And it really does round out just the way the Emperor is. He's vicious, he's cunning, he's evil, and he wants to have Anakin or Vader as his weapon. And to do that, to complete that transformation, Padme cannot be there because she's going to soften him. And he knows that, so he has to get her out of there. And that's how he does it. He uses her life force to save Vader or create Vader or give him enough life to survive. I really think that's it. I really do.
As do I. I 100% believe that. I think that was the final point that turned Vader 100% dark, and I think that would be exactly what the Emperor would do. He said that Plagueis used to be able to essentially live forever, and if he learned some of the things that Plagueis could do. Yes, he did. Essentially, he said that he could steal life force.
Right, I'm just saying he lived forever until he didn't.
Whoa, I thought you said no. He
Plagueis?
didn't. Okay, yeah. Well, until he was murdered, that's different. It's hard to change that. But anyway, what I meant is that he probably learned that from Plagueis and was able to force drain her life and give it to Vader. Save Vader.
Plagueis is still alive, right? Snow. Come on,
no,
guys.
I don't believe that. But anyway, I believe number 5 is correct. I think it makes the most sense. I think everything in the movie in that scene even plays towards it. Like the Emperor smiles right after pretty much he says that Padme's dead. He knew what he was doing. He planned it. I think that's what it was.
So he says in that scene when Vader asks that he killed him, Vader killed him.
Yes.
Killed her.
Yep.
So do you think he's lying at that point? Or could it have been Vader really did kill her by trying to save himself, by thinking about Padme too much?
I think he's lying.
It could have been Vader killed her because Palpatine sent that life force over. Yeah, Vader killed you, but with Palpatine's helping hand.
Exactly.
But I do think it's fan fiction, number 5. It's the most plausible, but again, George Lucas wrote these films, so number 3 is it.
Yeah.
Except none of them are confirmed one way or the other. It's not like Lucas has said.
And we'll probably never
know. I choose to believe 5.
Unless they write a story that fills in the gaps there's probably no way that we'll ever know.
True.
A canon story.
Yeah, that'll probably be part of the Obi-Wan standalone film.
Yeah. point. The entire thing.
That and the cloning and all that. Yeah, the dead skin cells in the hut. That was all going to be.
Yeah, and the standalone Obi-Wan movie, as he flies around as a Force ghost and gets people as skin cells so that they can make a new one of him in a female version, much younger, that can kill everybody. That makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we're going to move on to the knitting circle at Jabba's Palace, where we get to talk about different nerdy rumors that are floating around the new Nerdverse. So we'll start with you, Super Friendly. You got some rumors that you found online?
Yeah, hopefully this will be confirmed pretty soon whenever the teaser for Avengers Infinity War comes through. But apparently in that teaser, we see the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the first thing you see. They're flying around in space somewhere, and they bump into something. Turns out to be Thor. They bring him on board, and he's still wearing his gear that you see him wearing in the trailer for Thor Ragnarok. So it gives us a timeline for how close Ragnarok ends to where Avengers Infinity War picks up. So if that's true, it's already starting to take shape how all these movies are going to be connected, especially the universe ones versus the ones just on Earth. That's awesome. Can't wait for that to be confirmed.
So Thor's just floating in space?
Yep, that's what I hear.
Okay. I mean, Ragnarok's pretty traumatic, so essentially it would be the end of Asgard, so it very is plausible that he could be just floating around after that.
Now,
look forward to seeing that.
In Infinity War, do you think Hulk is going to be there too? I mean, is Hulk out there floating as well?
Oh, yeah.
They got to pick him up, right? Because there's no way they can beat Thanos without Hulk, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he's got to be there. I know that they teased that the Hulkbuster armor has already been confirmed to be in that movie, so I don't know if it's going to be a similar situation where Hulk goes crazy and they have to stop him with the Hulkbuster. Probably not, but that armor is going to be there.
It won't be Avenger versus Avenger. It'll be all against him and trying to stop his minions and him.
Yeah, so the Hulkbuster armor is probably to fight them, but Hulk's got to be in that movie, especially if he's not.
He is. He's already confirmed for in that movie, I think.
I'm just curious if the Guardians are going to pick him up as well, because he's out in space with Thor, right?
Depends on what happens.
Well, from the Ragnarok trailer, we know that they meet each other on a planet where...
Yeah, they fight each other in a gladiatorial.
Well, who are the other cosmic characters? So it could be Captain Marvel that runs into him. It could be Doctor Strange that pulls him back to Earth somehow.
Those are both possibilities for sure.
Or the Red Skull, because we know he's still kicking around somewhere.
Yeah, he's not going to be in that movie.
Well, you don't know.
I'm positive.
Well, you don't work at Marvel.
No, that's true. That's true.
Well, that's a good rumor. It's a good thing to know. I wonder if we'll be getting that trailer. We'll be able to see it for ourselves as soon as San Diego Comic-Con starts.
I bet.
That'd be pretty nice. I hate that they have trailers that they'll show, but you have to be at the event to see it.
Yeah,
I want to see it myself.
Me too.
I don't want to have someone explain to me what was in the trailer. Let me see it myself. But anyways, we'll move on to Dark Eagle's rumor. What do you have?
It's not a rumor, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's very exciting to me.
And we could call this news and rumors.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. News and rumors.
Yeah, news and rumors.
So the 13th Doctor is confirmed to be a woman. Jodie Whittaker, I believe. She actually played in Broadchurch with David Tennant, who was in that as well. I'm pretty excited about that. They had recently, in the past 2 seasons, since Capaldi was the 12th Doctor, they had changed the Master from being a man to a woman. And they had named her Missy. And she was a wonderfully written character, fantastic. I liked her much better than the Master character that was played by John Sim. I thought Missy was awesome. And so I'm pretty excited to see what they do here with the 13th Doctor being a woman. I think it's going to be really neat. And they even said that in the future they're going to have the first male companion. You know, a lot of times the Doctor will run with mostly a female. Sometimes, like with Rose, she had Mickey, so Mickey was with him sometimes. Captain Jack for a while. Huh?
Nothing.
Anyway, so it'll be interesting when there's just a solo male companion that'll be with a female Doctor. So I'm pretty excited to see what that brings. I think her first episode won't really be a full episode, but you'll get to see her in the January 2018 Christmas special where Capaldi will die, and obviously she'll be who he regenerates into.
I really gotta watch some Doctor Who. I've watched 1 episode, and that's it.
I have series 1 through 9 on DVD anytime you want to borrow them.
I mean, I think they're all on Netflix, right? Or
no,
Hulu?
They are only on Amazon right now.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. You got to
All
struggle
right.
through season 1 because season 1
That's
can be
the
rough
problem.
at times.
That's the problem. I tried to watch it with my wife. We watched the first episode. It had mannequins
Oh,
coming to life,
man.
and she
Yeah,
said,
that was
I cannot
horrible.
watch the show.
You
It
gotta
was
get
horrible.
through it. You actually gotta get through the first 4 or 5 till they get really good.
Episodes or seasons?
No, episodes. But there are some
Episode
solid
of season 1.
episodes with
Okay.
Christopher Eccleston. He had a
It's
couple
the second
really good
half.
ones.
The
Yeah,
second half of that season gets
Yeah.
really good with stuff. But no, as soon as you're done Eccleston and you get into Tennant's great, and it gets just better and better from there. Matt Smith had a few episodes I didn't love, but yeah, you just got to struggle through the first 4 or 5. The Plastine or the Nestine consciousness and the Slitheen are kind of rough stories to open up with. But once you get past them, it does have some really cool stuff, and it gets better and better.
yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to give it a go again. Right now, we've watched something different, but once it's over, maybe we'll move into that.
We'll just
Sounds
have
good.
a best of. We'll have a viewing party. We'll give you some best episodes to watch. It'll be good.
All
That's
right.
true. That would help. So I've got one more thing here, too, that I wanted to talk about.
What you got?
This one is more of a rumor, actually. So Dark Phoenix is going to be the next movie in the X-Men saga, which has had major ups and downs. Dark Phoenix is a classic storyline that I hope they do well. But what's interesting is there's rumors that Jessica Chastain may be cast as Lilandra, which Lilandra was the queen of the Shi'ar Empire. So it'd be interesting. First of all, I don't know what I think of that casting. I like her as an actress, but it's an interesting casting to me. But what I'm more excited about is the fact that Lilandra is in the movie means that we could get a very exciting, accurate Dark Phoenix portrayal with them including the Starjammers and Corsair, who is Cyclops and Havoc's father, and they could do some really cool things, but I am kind of worried because it's Sony and they butchered Apocalypse, so I'm kind of hoping for the best out of this, but I'm excited at the concept that they could really do the real Dark Phoenix storyline, which we haven't seen. We saw it horribly ruined in X-Men The Last Stand, but hopefully they come through and they do an excellent job with Lilandra and all the Starjammers. It could be a really cool thing, even kind of on the level of Guardians of the Galaxy, because it becomes a very cosmic storyline that gets out there with, you know, what the Phoenix is and all the people trying to stop it. I'm kind of hoping for the best there, but it might not be good. We'll see what happens, I guess.
I was thinking while I was watching at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming how well the MCU does with what they have. Sony must be thrilled that they made this decision because they're reaping the benefits of the hard work that the MCU put into making a good movie. And at the beginning of that movie, I didn't see any Disney. It was all Sony, right?
Yeah.
But the MCU is the one that did the movie, right? They got the director, they hired the actors, they did everything. So, I mean, if I'm Fox and I own
Fantastic
X-Men
Four.
and Fantastic Four and all those things, I'm thinking, what am I doing? I just keep butchering these films. Why don't I give it to the MCU and they'll make me tons of money and I don't have to do anything? It just
agree.
seems like a no-brainer because these other ones, really, they just can't do as well as the MCU, it seems.
I agree.
Yep.
But we'll see. We'll see. It would be really nice to be able to tie some of those characters in together.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. I was surprised it happened with Sony, to be honest.
I was too.
That was awesome.
That was nice. That was nice.
Very good. What I had for some rumors, I guess they're not really rumors anymore. They've been confirmed. But I got some Disney ones. And there's been a ton of Disney ones because D23 was just last weekend. The first one I have is Tim Burton is going to be doing Dumbo. I don't know if you heard about this.
No, I didn't.
And so he's got Colin Farrell. A couple actors were confirmed: Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito. And it just seems like an odd choice. How dark can you make Dumbo about a circus elephant? I don't know.
Some sad parts.
I guess isn't there a part where Dumbo gets drunk or high or something like that? I guess you can probably really twist that so you can all.
Well, it sounds exciting.
Yeah. So that was just interesting to me that Tim Burton is taking Dumbo on. I'm not a big Tim Burton fan. I think he does okay some of the time. Some of the stuff I like. I usually like it's his more sedate stuff. Like Big Eyes I thought was very good, and some of the other stuff he's done that wasn't as weird and strange. We'll see how he does with this one. The other Disney news I got is they're working on a live action Aladdin, and they've got their Aladdin and they've got their Jasmine picked. I don't really know who those actors were. They didn't recognize them, but they cast the genie, and I don't know. Did you guys hear about who they cast for the genie?
Yep.
So I personally, Aladdin was one of my favorite Disney movies, and I think Robin Williams was the best genie that there possibly could be. I think he nailed that role, and I don't know how anyone else could top it. So they cast Will Smith to be the genie, and I don't see it. I think they could have done it without having anyone. I think they could have just taken the audio from Robin Williams from the movie Aladdin and just put that in and left it the same, because the way they did Beauty and the Beast, it was almost a word-for-word recreation of the cartoon. So why do you have to cast the role? Why can't you just use the same audio from the cartoon?
Yeah.
Unless they're really planning on changing it up for the live-action one, but they didn't do that with Beauty and the Beast. I'm not thrilled on this choice, but we'll see how it could come out. I guess it could come out wonderful, but I just don't see Will Smith as the genie.
Yeah, you can't recreate that. That's one of those times when an actor made the role rather than being able to top that and play that character someone else. You can't. You gotta put Robin Williams as a genie in a vault, lock it away, and don't let anybody else touch it. So you're right. I think they should just pull the audio. They can even do CGI. Disney's the one that has done great CGI. They did Tron, right? They had what's his face, right, in Tron Legacy, and then whatever they did with what's that Star Wars movie? The good one, the other good one.
Rogue One?
The one, Rogue One. Thank you. So they did that with Rogue One. They brought back Carrie Fisher. They brought back Grand Moff Tarkin, whatever his name was, Peter Davies? I have no idea. It doesn't matter. But they can do that with Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's
they can go back. They can grab his face. They can put it on a big blue blob and do his audio. And I would love that.
I don't know. I'm not loving it. We'll see how it comes out. The last rumor I have, I guess really is kind of a rumor. Maybe it's misdirection. I don't know. Mark Ruffalo says no Hulk standalone movie. What do you think? Is he bluffing? Do you think there is something? I mean, obviously it would be coming after Infinity War.
Nope, I think he's spot on. Marvel has seen that repeatedly the Hulk movies have failed in the box office. They haven't gotten good reception. I think they don't feel they have a formula that they can do something to create it well. They've almost seemed to started, with what we have coming up here with Thor, Ragnarok, almost doing like they used to do with the Marvel team-up comics. I mean, we're going to see both these guys in films. I think that you'll start to see that a little bit more even as we get into the MCU. I mean, even Spider-Man had a lot of Iron Man in it. I wouldn't call it a team-up, but he was in it a lot.
America.
So I think that... Huh?
Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America. He was a bit role, but...
No, his movies.
I know what you mean. Yeah, so I think they're going to do that more, and I think especially with the Hulk, because they realize, for whatever reason, the Hulk just, people don't want to see it. I enjoyed the one with, what's-his-face, the second one, Ed, whatever, Norton. I didn't mind that.
I like that one.
I liked it, liked Abomination, but it didn't go over well, and I think Marvel is just wary of trying again, so they're probably going to scrap that for now.
I could see why you'd scrap the Eric Bana one, but I thought that the Edward Norton one was good. But maybe we might be in the minority on that.
Yeah, we may be.
Speaking of that Eric Bana movie, Jennifer Connelly, who was in that movie, has found her way into the MCU. She was the voice of, what was it, Laura? Diana? Karen, thank you. Karen.
Well played.
Karen, Spider-Man's super suit.
Yes, one of the many flaws of that film.
Mm-hmm. Well, very good. Nice tie-in. We'll move on to movie trailers that make me happy. We're going to talk about some different trailers that have come out for movies that are coming up soon. I'm going to start this one. I'm going to talk about Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which actually is coming out tomorrow, July 20th. The movie's based off a French comic book series called Valerian and Laureline, written by Pierre Chestin, or Kristen, something like that. I'm a big sci-fi nerd, so I think visually this movie looks amazing. Seeing all these sci-fi aliens and species and critters and creatures looked awesome. The trailer gave me a similar feeling to when I first saw Avatar, just the visually stunning backgrounds and scenes. And I'm a big sucker for anything that has lots of creatures, aliens. It just looked great, and I'll see whether it stands up to have a decent story and good acting. I guess that remains to be seen, and it's not just visually good looking. It has to be well-rounded, obviously. But I'm looking forward to that movie. You guys think you're going to see it?
Yeah. Actually, since you've been talking it up, I've been noticing that trailer a lot more, and it looks good.
Yeah, I agree. I will go and see it. However, what I've read is that it's visually exceptional. It's amazing. It's a great ride, but that it does lack a good story, and that the acting of the two leads, Dane DeHaan is one, and I don't know how to pronounce the other girl's name, that they kind of miscast them, that they don't really fit their roles. But the movie's overall gotten, I think, positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Last I looked, it was a 76. But everybody basically... Yeah, it wasn't bad, which I was impressed with. But they basically said that you go along for the incredible visuals, and that the story has some loopholes in it. So I plan on seeing it. Looks amazing to me.
Yeah, well, I don't know when I'll see it, but I do want to see it.
I think you got to see it in the theaters with that kind of a movie.
I
The visuals of that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those movies that if you see it on your home TV, it's not going to look as nice unless you have a really amazing TV.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll probably see that. I don't know if I'm going to see it opening week or not, but we'll see. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out. Dunkirk comes out this weekend as well, right? And I still haven't seen Despicable Me 3.
Oh, I haven't either. Yep.
So there's a few things I want to see. I don't know what I'll be seeing next, but that's what I want to see. And I'll give it to you, Luke. What do you have that you want to see coming up?
I think I'm just going to talk about this first one mostly because this is the one that I really am passionate about. And that's the Inhumans trailer. They're releasing this in a very interesting way. So September 1st, the first 2 episodes of this ABC series will be released in IMAX theaters throughout the United States, I believe, which is kind of a neat way to release it, your first 2 episodes. So it'll be neat to be able to go and see them. I did watch the trailer. I don't really like how they cast the Inhumans. I'm not a big fan of most of the casting. I don't mind the casting for Karnak and Gorgon, but I don't like the way Black Bolt looks, and I hate the way Medusa looks. I think their costumes, especially Medusa's, looks horrible, absolutely horrible. And I don't like that Black Bolt, who is, the main character, he looks like the build of Black Bolt. I think it's Anson Mount or whatever his name is there. He has the build, but I don't like his face, to be honest. I just don't like his face. I want him to have his mask. I don't want to see his face. He had a mask in the comics. It was cool that he had his mask in the comics. It even played into his powers. The little vibrating thing on the top of his mask. And I'm just not impressed by what I see in it. So I'm really hopeful that they pull it out and that it's one of those things like Guardians of the Galaxy was when it first came out. Kind of like, oh, that looks okay, who knows what it'll be like, and then boom, amazing, instant classic. I'm kind of hoping the Inhumans is the same. I really love Black Bolt. I love some of the Inhuman storylines in the comics, but I'm really, really wary of it after watching the trailer and seeing some of the costume design for it.
I saw the trailer. I thought it looked interesting. It's going to be on TV, right? You said it's TV. They're going to do the first 2 in the movie theater. You can see them in the theater.
Yeah.
But what
it'll be on
channel?
ABC, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So.
I mean, it's definitely worth a watch if it's on TV. You don't have to pay anything to get into it except for your cable bill. I'm definitely going to check it out.
No, I will too. I'm very, like I said, I'm wary of some of the costume design and the casting choices. I'm not a big fan of. So the first 2 will be in IMAX, and then the rest of the series will be released onto ABC. I think it's at the end of September, like the 29th or something like that.
Very good. I see you got a couple other on the did you want to talk about any of the other trailers that you're excited about?
I did watch A Wrinkle in Time trailer, it's a Disney movie. It kind of seems cool. It's got some cool people in it. Kyle, apparently, based on what he's written here, knows more about it because he's read the book. I have not read the book. I just saw it as a movie that's coming out in 2018, I believe, and kind of looked cool, kind of looked whimsical. It's not as visually stunning as Valerian's trailer, but it still had some really visually cool moments and just sounded kind of neat. In the basic plot. So Colin may be able to even talk more about what it's about, because I couldn't understand from the trailer. I just thought it looked really like a really cool looking trailer.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that trailer out. I haven't seen it yet.
A Wrinkle in Time is, I want to say it's one of the middle books of a series about a family. And A Wrinkle in Time is just a standout book from that series. It's very good. They have already done a movie on it. I don't know, it came out early 2000s, late 90s. It was terrible.
Oh.
It was just really bad. It was a low-budget film, Really looking forward to this movie. Hopefully, it'll do it justice. I can't stand when you get those low budget films and
Did you watch the trailer?
I have not watched the trailer.
It does not look low budget. It looks like Disney's going all out for it. It looks spectacular. What I saw,
Okay.
really nice looking.
Yeah, I hope so because I really love the characters. Charles Wallace especially, who is a main character in this book. He's a special character. Just looking forward. Yeah, and they take it off world into a it's a fantasy book.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
I want to see them do it right because it can be. I don't want to say creepy, but weird.
It looked that way, yeah.
Yeah, almost Whovian, Doctor Who, right?
Yeah, it did remind me of that. It had that feeling to it for sure.
Yeah, so the reading that book in there, I will give this earlier movie credit. There are points in that movie where you get that feel, but I want to have a good ride.
Makes sense. Well, I had one more on here that I thought about. When I saw Spider-Man Homecoming the second time, I saw the trailer again for War for the Planet of the Apes. Mm-hmm. That has gotten really good reviews from what I've seen. But to be honest, when I watched the trailer, I mean, it just looks like there must be a good story to it, but the trailer just makes it look like a war movie between apes and humans. And I don't want to just go and watch a movie with just apes killing humans, humans killing apes. I want there to be some substance, and maybe there is. Maybe I'm just not seeing it from the trailer. But the way the trailer looked, it was just like, I don't know if I even want to see that. You know, I want some kind of deep story, not just back and forth. Oh, the humans win this battle. Oh, now the apes win this battle. I don't know. That was my kind of take on the trailer that I saw.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I saw the first one was Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I thought that one was really good with James Franco. Then I didn't see the next one. What was the next one? Battle for the Planet of the Apes?
Well, I don't remember the next title. I did see the next one. I can't remember what it was called. I saw it rented it. I don't remember the name.
I haven't seen that one. So to me, it's like to skip that one and then go see this War for the Planet of the Apes. I just don't see myself doing that.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Was the first one?
No, that was the second one. Rise was the first one, then Dawn, and then War.
Okay, all right. So I saw Rise. I haven't seen Dawn, and I did like.
Good.
I liked the original Planet of the Apes series. You know, with Charlton Heston and everything. Yep. I thought that was great, but I just haven't seen that other one. So I probably will eventually. Probably for me, it's one to rent when it comes out. But
yeah,
it is getting good reviews. I think it had like a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it was even doing better than Spider-Man Homecoming was. And I think it beat it out last weekend for top movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, that's good to know. I was just going to say the first one, I loved the first one. I thought that was a solid film. The second one, not as much. It was good, but I was like, I don't need more of this. So I was not thinking about seeing this movie, but hearing that it has good reviews, I might check it out. See, I thought the first one could be a really solid, just standalone film where it shows that transition between how things got to be the way they were. I didn't think we needed more.
They always need more because it makes money. So we'll move on to you, Super Friendly. What do you have for a movie trailer that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, I mean, I know you guys both saw Spider-Man Homecoming, so Black Panther was one of the trailers that came up before that. It's coming out February 16th, 2018, just so you guys know. That's a little ways from now, but I'm still looking forward to it. I liked the trailer. It was cool for me to see Ulysses Claw in there. In the first movie that he was portrayed in, Avengers Age of Ultron, you saw him as a bad guy. You didn't really see his crazy. The crazy started to come out in the trailer. Really loved seeing that. But I also saw something that the Black Panther was at the interrogation where you see Claw and the Martin Freeman character in. With that interrogation, you saw Black Panther there, so I'm wondering if that was in Wakanda. I'm thinking it wasn't just because of those outsiders. They wouldn't be in the country necessarily. So is this Black Panther movie going to involve other world locations, or is it going to be solely focused in Wakanda, which I'd really love to see more of? I know it's technically advanced society, more than what we might see on Earth, so I'd really like to on Earth. That's so stupid. The other cities that aren't Wakanda, but I really want to see them develop what makes this society stand out, and I want to see them develop that in the film.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's a movie I'll definitely be seeing. I see most of the MCU stuff pretty early on, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Got some time to wait on it, but definitely looking forward to it. So we'll move on to the great debate, where this week we've chosen to talk about Spider-Man: Homecoming, not Superman, and we have some differing opinions on this. Kyle, you're a big fan, loved it, thought it was the best Spider-Man movie yet. Luke, you got a different opinion. I got a different opinion. I thought it was a good Spider-Man movie. I liked a lot the first Andrew Garfield one. I thought that was a really good Spider-Man movie, and I thought the first two Tobey Maguire ones are good. Why this one, I'm not sure, stacks up in my mind, is just because I was more of an Amazing Spider-Man fan growing up. I followed that comic book series and watched the show, the cartoon series, fairly closely, and I felt like this was more of a mix of Amazing Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man, with the techie suit and the man in the chair, and I did like that they got some things right. I thought the age for Peter Parker was finally right. It wasn't a man in his 30s like the other two have been. But there was some disappointing things. First off, Ned. I don't know who Ned is. I didn't really have a strong connection to that character. Harry was always Peter Parker's friend in my mind. I don't know Ned. Liz, I don't know who Liz is. I thought, where's Gwen? Where's MJ? And apparently, again, we mentioned that we were going to get into spoilers here, so if you haven't seen Spider-Man: Homecoming, you probably want to shut this off. But MJ apparently was there the whole time. You didn't know it because she was a nerd. And to me, that was not who MJ was. She was not a nerd. The same thing with Flash. Flash, to me, was a jock that became an astronaut, and he was, everything that was opposite of Peter Parker. But in this, he was a nerd. He was in the same debate class or whatever they were in, whatever. I don't even know what it was, which didn't make any sense to me. Super Friendly, I'd love to hear why you think it was the best Spider-Man ever.
Ever of the films, right? So we're talking Tobey Maguire, we're talking Andrew Garfield. What you said, I love that we had Tom Holland who fit that bill of a teenager in high school. It didn't seem out of place. I love the whole cast of characters. I didn't know who Ned was either, but they kind of explained it. I saw it explained in a video that Ned, who was actually a friend of Miles Morales.
Yep.
They put up a picture side by side of this cartoon character and of Ned. So they're kind of mixing these two films. I thought he was great. What's her name? Liz? Who is she? Don't care. She's gone. That's fine. She fit the bill for the movie. I didn't care either that we had a diverse group. I thought it was great. MJ, I didn't see that coming, but I was also like, that's pretty cool. Getting to the villains, though. Those villains were so grounded in reality, and that's what set it apart, personally, for me, between the first Tobey Maguire film and the Andrew Garfield films, was you look at the Green Goblin from that first movie. I hated that suit. There was some mystical thing going on, something weird. It just didn't fit. And you look at that Andrew Garfield, especially that first one with the lizard and all the... I didn't like the way he looked. I love that these two villains were grounded in reality more. The Vulture, they took him out of what he was as a character and made him more real. Not some old guy who was a young guy and now he's old again or whatever. Even just a shocker, how they did his costume. He was a real dude. He had some Chitauri weapon on his arm from the Spider-Man cartoon. Like his outfit was a hoodie. It had that yellow diamond. I love that. They didn't make it too gaudy. I love the script. I love that they were able to work it out that Peter, as Spider-Man, was talking all the time and throwing jibs and jabs and whatever, and he could do that. The other two, Andrew Garfield did a little bit. Tom Holland does it a little bit more. He was funny. He was more like the Spider-Man that I know and love. I didn't mind having the suit because that was the vehicle that gave him the opportunity to talk more. He could talk to, what did we call her, Karen? Having Karen gave him that opportunity to be that Spider-Man that I love. It was just a fun ride all the way through. I didn't have any boring moments. I didn't have any moments I was like, this is just crazy. Why would they ever think of that? Tony Stark was fun. Love that they set it up. It was not an origin story. Even in the beginning, they brought you to Captain America Civil War to show a little bit of a backstory, but they didn't bring the Uncle Ben. And even when they had that with great power comes great responsibility moment, they didn't say it, but you knew it was there. Josh, I was telling you this. I was sitting there with my wife watching the movie, and as Peter was getting out of the car. Oh, spoilers! 5 seconds. Turn it off. You don't want to hear this. Okay. So as Peter's walking up to the door to get Liz for their date, I leaned over to my wife and said, "You watch. He's going to be the husband." Nope. He's going to be the father. because that would be stupid. And yeah, Vulture was the father. He opened the door, hey, and this guy behind me said, I did not see that coming. Best moment, because it made me feel good. So.
I didn't. I was that guy behind you because I did not see that coming. And my wife didn't either, and I was actually happy to have a twist like that I didn't see coming. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I knew that was gonna. When he pulled up to the house to pick her up, I thought he's gonna answer the door. It's gonna be, that's kind of gonna be what wraps him into the plot, and that somewhat is based on the comics, and they loosely pulled that Liz character off of another character from the comics named Liz, who was married to the Hobgoblin. So they kind of made it a little bit the same, that she was, somebody who originally was a love interest for Peter, then she got married to a villain, and so in here it was just that this girl was the daughter of the villain. There are some of the things that Super Friendly said that I did like about the movie. The fact that the Vulture was a relatable character. He wasn't necessarily evil. You only really see him kill, definitively one man in the film, and he was doing it for his family because he kind of got screwed over hardcore by the government in the beginning. Very relatable, understandable that somebody could snap after that and decide that this is the only way to make your way in the world, even when he tells Peter that, when you grow up, Peter, you're going to understand this is what you got to do. This is the only way to do it. I liked that about, because that's something I think that could easily happen. Somebody decide to do that, obviously not become the Vulture, but to do something like that in the world today. So I liked that a lot about it, that it was grounded that way. I loved the beginning sequence. In fact, the beginning sequence of the movie is my favorite sequence. I love him filming. I think it's hilarious how Happy Hogan reacts to him filming. I think that's awesome. I just love that whole beginning sequence. I didn't love... Ned as a character was fine. I didn't have a problem with him. But it was just... I guess I would say that I went into the movie expecting the Spider-Man that I knew and loved growing up. And to have so many things changed from that, it threw me for a loop the first time that I saw it, for sure. I didn't like that MJ wasn't the outgoing, bubbly person she was in the comics. That's what you like about her in the comics. I like that about her in the comics. I didn't mind Flash's character. He was kind of a jerk just like he is in the comics, but it was weird that he was so smart because he's not normally that smart. One of the thing I hated the most about the film, and why I can't say that it's my favorite, is I hated his super suit. I felt like I was watching another Iron Man film, with him having Jarvis and being able to talk to, his suit and having 4,000 different web combinations, none of which he came up with on his own like he did in the comics, and having interrogation mode with his weird voice and insta-kill. I hated all of that so bad. I know that a lot of it was funny to people, but I hated it because I thought, this isn't Spider-Man to me. He just has his generic webs. He comes up with web grenades later on and stuff like that. For him to have all this stuff and this suit that is basically like Iron Man's suit, save the armor plating, I hated that so much about it. And honestly, that's probably the only thing that keeps it in my mind from being the best Spider-Man movie is that one aspect. Everything else I really thought it was written well. I thought everything made sense. Nothing was stupid the way it was done. I loved kind of seeing how this is a 15-year-old kid. Of course he'd want to be Spider-Man at the party to make everybody be happy. He'd want to do that even though he was nervous, and probably would have had it not been for the shocker over there making big explosions. I thought that was all really well done. It's just that one part really threw me, and seeing it a second time, I like it much better than I did the first time because I knew what I was getting into. But the suit still will be the thing that kind of takes it from being number one and puts it below, for me, the first Andrew Garfield movie and probably the second Tobey Maguire movie with Doc Ock, which I loved both those movies.
Yeah, I would agree. I wanted more Amazing Spider-Man, less Ultimate Spider-Man, and it definitely was a mix of the two. The suit felt overdone, although I thought it was well written, and I thought those parts with the suit were funny. They made me laugh. It's not like I was like, oh, I'm not going to laugh at this because it's making me angry. But it just didn't feel, it wasn't the Spider-Man I was hoping to see. I was hoping to go back to when I used to watch, in the 90s, when I used to read the comic books, and when I used to watch the show, the cartoon series. That Spider-Man is what I wanted. I wanted that, and it wasn't that Spider-Man. It was a different Spider-Man. So if you're expecting to go to see a movie about that Spider-Man, which the other two were kind of more like that, where they were. It was Amazing Spider-Man with just a guy in a suit with the web shooters and not all these gadgets, and a suit that can talk to him, and a suit that has a parachute, and a suit that has a drone, and a suit that can do everything.
I did think it was more accurate for like real world, again, grounded, that this kid probably, the only way he would have a good suit is it to be given or made for him by Tony Stark, 15-year-old kid. So it made sense that way again, but still for me losing that. And I agree. I thought it was funny, the interrogation mode and stuff like that, but it also bothered me. Like, I don't like that that's part of his suit. Like that's not who he was to me.
Yeah, but part of who he was to me is the expression in the eyes. In the Kraken Wise guy, to make it grounded in reality, the things that I loved about that Spider-Man, the Spider-Man that we probably all watched, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The animated one.
You have to give, right? Yeah, you have to be able to have a compromise to be able to have everything you want. I guess for you guys, there were things that you didn't want to compromise. For me, the compromises were fine. I've been watching some more videos on this because if you look at the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and the Tobey Maguire, there are different points at the end battle where to be able to have visual expression in his face, either his mask is ripped or it's ripped off of his face in the case of the Andrew Garfield movie, and you didn't have to lose that. Now, another thing that I really loved about this movie was that he didn't have that suit in the final battle. He had his homemade suit. And when I first saw the concept art for Spider-Man back before Civil War, it was that suit with the funny hood, and it looked so cool. And I got to see him in that suit in the final battle, and he did it all himself. So yeah, he's going to have that other suit in the future. He's going to have the techie suit in the future, but it's going to enable him to have the characteristics that I really loved about Spider-Man there. So I'm willing to make that compromise for it to be grounded in reality.
Yeah,
that's
and
fair.
I can see your point, Kyle. I think if they didn't add some new things and change it up a little bit, then they wouldn't have really been doing much different than the other two. And they had to do something different than the other two because no one wanted to see a Spider-Man movie that was going to be just like the other ones. We had to see something different. And I was really happy that they didn't do another origin story because everyone knows the origin at this point.
Yep.
There was no reason to retell that story. The suit was not as big of a deal to me as it was for Luke. Well, I wished I got to see some of the characters that I loved, like Spider-Man's friends and MJ, and just more accurately portrayed to the characters they were in the comic books. Another thing that I guess we knew this was coming because we saw it in Civil War, but it was weird seeing a young, attractive Aunt May. Aunt May was always old, and my wife would say too that they kind of pushed the envelope on some of the stuff, things in the movie. They kind of pushed some of the language even of.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Not that it got real bad, but that just to push some stuff.
I would like to clarify with MJ, the writers and even the head of Marvel says it is not Mary Jane. That is not Mary Jane's character in the movie. It's merely the nickname given to this character. But what I think they very clearly are doing is saying that this will be his love interest. It's not going to be Mary Jane Watson. It's going to be this girl. But they're saying it's not Mary Jane Watson, but her nickname is MJ.
Oh, really?
To me, the message, I read an article about that a few days ago. To me, the message is clear. Yeah, you're not going to make her that character, so you're not rewriting the character, but you're making this person his love interest instead of Mary Jane Watson.
Interesting. So. I didn't know that, but that makes sense, I suppose. It's weird. I mean, to me, he's always with he's with Mary Jane Watson. He's not with anyone else.
He's not with Michelle.
Yeah, exactly. Or some other MJ. But whatever. It was neat how they tied in Donald Glover's character, that they kind of hinted at a Miles Morales.
Yep, his nephew.
His nephew and stuff.
Yeah, and he's the Prowler. His character was, yep.
I don't know if they just set that up for way down the road or what. But
well, they're planning, I believe it's an animated movie that's Miles Morales that Sony is doing themselves that releases next year, 2019. That was kind of when it all went down. Marvel was going to do a live action of Peter Parker and Sony was going to do a animated of Miles Morales.
Well, I don't know if do animated whatever they want. As long as they let MCU have Spider-Man, I'm happy with that.
I am too.
Is that all we have to say about Homecoming? I think I would recommend it to see it, especially if you're an MCU fan or a Marvel fan. But know that you're not going to be getting just Amazing Spider-Man, that you're going to be getting a twist on Spider-Man, different than we've seen in the past.
Agree. I recommend it for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we've gone long enough. I think it's time to wrap this show up. What do you guys say?
Yep.
All right. So from all of us here at Geek-Cetera, we hope you enjoyed this week's show. Please like us, subscribe to us, share us. We'll be back next time with another thrillingly nerdy episode, which you can be sure will be bursting with San Diego Comic-Con information. But until then, may the Force be with you.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
May, June, July.
For more from the Geeks, please check out www.geek-cetera.com. This podcast was brought to you by the Geek-Cetera team. Now this is podcasting.